Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody? A little bit earlier today, as we got a lot of noon baseball to go through, and some interesting YouTubies I've been watching. UK broke, France broke. The elections are fixed by George Soros. We worry about what's happening here, right? France's election, the conservative won, but didn't win. They got all the votes, but somehow the liberal working class won. All right. So we always start with gold because we're all very interested in it. Gold's been exciting today. 24.56. So look at the derivative. So we went from 53 to 63. And then comes about 8:30 when Asia goes away, goes down to 24.36. And what we're always worried about is that the bottom, or is it going to fall more? And so that's always your concern. And then it's nice, then it jumped back up, and then at 10 o'clock it did a little $5 derivative, and then it shot back up, and now it's 24.56, headed back to 24.75, eventually to 2,500. It's amazing how these idiots have no idea. Oh, gold's going to go down. Gold's not going down, not when the demand is there. And with BRICS coming out with the gold back currency, so I was listening to the guy I hate, Rickards, and he's explaining it, but he doesn't understand. Hey, Pat, he doesn't understand gold back currency. Now look at silver today, 28.40. So I know you guys have been asking about it. It's a little different than gold in the fact it's not a Basel III compliant, which means that they don't have to take delivery of it, so they can keep playing their silver game. However, with all the demand for silver, this will go up eventually. That's why it's a great buy right now. So anyway, very happy to see gold 24.55, 56 on its way. But we've had our hit. Once we get past like 10, 11 o'clock, we're at 11:30 now. Once you get past that, there's no more big drops. The big drop happens. This is, I believe, Europe, probably the UK, dropping it at 8:15 in the morning. The U.S. does the 10 o'clock drop, but you can see lately the 10 o'clock drops haven't been very much. China and Russia and India, the BRICS are, and the whole basically Eastern Europe are getting too smart for their game. So they see what's going to happen at 10 and they load up and they don't let it prevent. So I don't think we'll see too many more big drops. We will see 2,500 up to 3,000 soon. That's what's going on there. Hey, hey, Pat. Good morning. Well, there's too much demand, and that's what I keep saying. With all the central banks and the BRICS gold-backed currency, demand's the key to anything, right? Rolex would not have a value if there was no demand for it. The Mantle card and the Montana card and the Jordan card would not have value if there was no demand. So there's huge demand for gold. And it's only getting stronger as the dollar goes out. And it's amazing. So I watched Rickard today. I could only stand about 3 or 4 minutes of him before throwing up. He's such an idiot. Well, he's a lawyer that works for the government. He's a Keynesian, so he doesn't know anything. So he's trying to explain the BRICS. So, well, it's not a gold back currency. Well, what the fuck is it then? I mean, it's either gold back or it isn't gold back. Just amazing how stupid this guy is. And he's saying, oh, it's really intelligent. They just wait for the price of gold. Silver is looking very good. Yeah, again, these are derivatives. So you'll see good days and bad days. We know it's not close to the real price, which is much, much higher. It's probably it's really about $1,000 an ounce thing. So you just keep buying it at 30 and laughing all the way to the bank. Put it in your safe at home. You cannot trust a safety deposit box. I don't want any of you guys putting your money in a bank safety deposit box. It's not safe there. When they close, you will not be able to get in. If you need a like a safe place, maybe one of those what are they? The moving company, U-Haul. U-Haul has lockers and safe places that you can put it for, or security. There's I see these storage units. I don't know how much they are, but put your safe in there and you got the key, and maybe make sure that nobody else can get in, and put it there if you want. I don't really have a problem at home or in a safe place. It's not like your house gets robbed all that much. I mean, unless you're in a $1 million house, that's going to attract robbers. But if you're just in a regular little place, they're not going to realize you have gold and silver in your house. So I got my safe, I got my money, I got my good baseball cards, and I got my gold and silver. Well, my silver is in a different spot because when you got 630 ounces, it's too much to put in the safe, or I'd have to take all the cards out. The BRICS unit seems to be a basket of gold and BRICS currency. Well, it's going to be 40% gold, which is what we're concentrating on. So it's gold-backed currency. And I don't know if it'll be a basket of BRICS currencies or probably silver and copper and more metals than money, because the money we know is worthless. You don't want Indian rupees, that's gone, and you don't want Chinese, they're gone. Russia, I mean, you don't really want the currencies in it. I think it'll be some oil maybe, and silver, gold 40%, silver and other minerals and material, maybe wheat, things that are needed, but I don't know how much it'll be other BRIC currencies, because they're really all worthless. They're all fiat, which means they're all faith of the government. Why would you have faith in the government? So yeah, it'll be mostly gold, silver, and other, like I said, wheat, oil, minerals like that. Not anything like that. So the biggest thing is they don't want the U.S. to keep COMEX, so that'll be broken. They'll have a price. Now, Reichert sits there and he says, oh, it'll be gold. It won't be gold back. You won't be able to take your money to the bank and get gold for it. Oh, really? You know how a gold back currency is supposed to be, really? Do you? No, it's exactly what you'll do. So you're in China or Russia and you got $100 gold back currency. You go to the bank and get $100 in gold for it. And he makes the same stupid comment. Well, there's not enough gold for it all. At this price, there's not enough gold. That's why you raise the price. If I raise the price to 10,000 an ounce for gold, then I have enough gold to cover it. But at 2,500, I don't. There's too many people in India and China alone that you couldn't, and you're not giving them gold. You're giving them the dollars. This is what these idiots don't understand. A gold standard. A gold standard backs your dollar by gold, not by the government, not by the trust of the government. And if you take $100, you go to the bank, say, I want $100 worth of gold, and they have to give you $100 worth of gold. They have to have the amount of gold on hand to cover it, because they can only print as many dollars as they have gold. So like I said, 100 billion in gold is what you have, because you raised the price. You can only print $100 billion. Seems simple enough. And then if anybody wants to go to the bank to get it, I'm sure there'll be like a central bank that has it, and then they'll just call, hey, yeah, I need, well, they'll probably, each bank will probably have $50,000 worth of gold on it. It's not something you need to go get the gold because the currency is gold. So you're comfortable that I got a gold backed dollar. I don't need the physical gold. We need the physical gold now because we got toilet paper for dollars. And that's the big problem with it. So we understand that we need gold as we watch the dollar go to zero. And that's one thing these guys never talk about. They never talk about the dollar going out. The dollar is going to be around, and the debt. I was listening to some idiot today talk about the debt going, well, as long as the economy keeps growing, the debt's fine. And I'm like, no, the debt's the debt. The dollar has no value. And it's amazing. These Keynesians are so stupid, and they're on, but they're not challenged. So they sit there and go, yeah. And one guy was a doctor or a PhD doctor, teaching whatever at the London school, the most Keynesian school in the world. Yeah, I'll believe anything that comes out of that guy's mouth. What a fucking ass. All right, Pat. The shorts are getting smoked. They are record amount of fictional ounces short, something like a year's. Well, because it's a 96% leverage, right? So you take 4 ounces and you can leverage it with 100,000 ounces of gold that you don't have or silver you don't have. So that's the problem. But now that the gold they can be called and taken. That's what the Chinese and so now the Chinese and the Indians are requesting delivery of these options. That's why the gold derivatives are slowing down. They don't have the gold. The silver they can still do it with. And yes, they control far more silver than exists. That's probably even available. There's probably not a lot of silver available. I mean, I do go into my guy's store and he always has 10, 20 ounces. And I always go to myself, where the hell are they how do they keep having silver doesn't run out? And eventually it will, but at these prices, there should be huge demand for silver if people understood what's coming up. There is plenty of gold for the right price. Hey, Luke, good to see you this morning. Silver getting a bump, but so is the stock market. I don't care about the stock market. Walmart up 6%, Ultra, such BS. It's all fake. Yeah, well, baseball's early today, and I just was in a mood to, what's today, Wednesday, I think. Today's Thursday. I was just in a mood to teach now. So, I don't know if I'll do a class later, but sometimes I do something now. But I noticed there's a lot of early baseball games I wanted to touch base on. And one guy emailed me about the master's class. I did want to, when I get something like that, I do want to explain it so people understand it. But yeah, I mean, it's usually now I either go to the pool and swim and then get lunch and then teach, or I might teach first and then go get lunch and go swim. So it's optional. But whatever, I'm in the mood. So I was watching a bunch of YouTube people, and just France is the other person won the election, but they gave it to the left. Oh, that couldn't be George Soros controlling that, could it? And how the UK is basically bankrupt. So basically, you got all of Europe being bankrupt. Okay, and they're all trying to figure out why. And guess what? It's always inflation. It's a lot of social spending. Well, what does that mean? So the country has so many dollars, and in economics, what you learn is you spend money better than the government. So if I have $1,000, if I give it to Luke, he's going to spend it much smarter than the government's going to spend it. So the more money the government gets, the worse they are at spending the money because they don't care. They're not even looking at competition or this. Luke and I and Pat, we're all looking at prices. Yeah, that steak's $20 an ounce or a pound. There's no fucking way I'm buying it. But the government doesn't care. They just buy. So the more money in our hands, the better the economy works. The more money in the government's hand, the worse the economy works. Well, what's going on in France and England and most of these countries, they're putting it into the pension, which is Social Security, whatever, for the country at a higher and higher rate to try to appease people to vote. Look, I'm giving you this. France had a huge minimum wage, which is terrible for the economy. So you think in the liberal way, well, we'll pay the guys $25 an hour. But if we're running a company, right? We're selling Canadian Club, right? We need people to make the glass and make the labels and make the whiskey and da 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 da. We have a budget and we say, well, if we want to make X, we can afford to pay our employees $17 an hour. And it's not like, it's up to them to take it or not. But if the government forces me to pay 25 an hour, half the workforce is gone who works in the lower levels, right? Okay, so we'll automate the labels and the bottles, and we automate how the whiskey gets poured in, which it's like that anyway. I've been there and it's really cool. But minimum wage does not help. It hurts. Price fixing, price, if you price if you say, well, the whiskey's, we're going to price fix it at $20 a bottle. Well, what happens? Well, my costs are 30 and I want to sell it for 50 and I got to sell it for 20. I'm not going to make it. So you kill your own economy because it's a domino effect. People like whiskey. There's competition now. There's more whiskeys. There's Seagrams. There's Dewar's. You have all these whiskeys. And so all these people are working, and then all these people are buying the whiskeys because they like it. Just like Luke with tennis rackets, there'll be various brands at various price levels. That's how the economy works. That's how you get a strong country, strong economy. But if you start price fixing it and you kill, if they made tennis rackets, you could only sell them for $50 and you wouldn't have a market. I got to get out of the business because I can't make money at it. Lest us forget why we're in business, to make the money. So if I can't make money, I go out of the business and I either look for something else or move to a different country or do something else. So that's what's happening in France. The guy's killing it with price controls and the minimum wage and the high social programs and the high government pension. You don't leave a lot of money for businesses to work. The country's bankrupt. They riot every day. They riot about something. And he's taking all this money out of the economy and into the government. And it doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. That's how I teach Adam Smith, right? You just let the free market work and it works beautifully. But when you start getting when the invisible hand is visible and they start taxing it and they start taking the money out, it fucks it up. It's happened every time. It always will happen because we know how to control the market a lot better than the government does. The government can't control the market. So that's the whole problem. So that's what's fucking France. That's what's fucking the UK. Germany's getting fucked. Italy's already fucked. We saw what happened in Greece. We see what's happening in Venezuela, Zimbabwe. Anytime the government, especially a communist one or socialist, same thing. When the government runs the market, you're fucked every time. And here it's kind of half and half. We have enough private economy, but the government does try to stick their toes in. Like Social Security should not be there. Just leave me alone. Let me put my money into let me invest my money and go. Okay, now I'm the exception because I understand how to invest my money. But most people can't because they're not taught it in school for some reason. And you end up where, I'm going to retire. I don't have any money. I didn't know I was supposed to save. So you end up with that. Silver, the stock. So to Luke's questions, silver, the derivatives are going up, which is nice. because it's been at 27, so now they do the call options, which are go up, and then they'll sell it when it hits a certain number. The stock market we know is fake. It's just JP Morgan prints money and puts it in the stock market. So it looks like our economy is fine. And then the GDP is good. And it's all bullshit. It's not the market. It's not us buying stocks, moving it up. It's them printing money and putting it in the stock market to keep it up before the election so they can say, well, look how good our stock market's doing. Trump did the same thing. Remember when it hit 30,000, he says, I got the stock market up to 30,000. Bullshit, you got it up. And now it's at 40. So what do you want? Biden and Harris to say, oh, yeah, look, we got the market up to 40 grand. It's a nightmare, and we know it. And there's not much. We just know that it's bullshit. So we know when it collapses, we'll know why, because they can't keep printing money. For whatever reason, some people just don't understand this basic concept. These MMT guys, Rickards, and these other people I was listening to, they don't get it. You can't. Well, we can keep having debt. Look at Japan; they've had debt for 30 years, and they're fine. And they've had inflation, and no, there's fancy stuff going on there, but it's collapsing now. China's collapsing. If you could just print money and it wouldn't hurt, then why is Venezuela in trouble? Zimbabwe. Why did Germany collapse? Why did the French collapse and the British and World War I and the Romans? Why did all these people collapse if you could have just printed more money? Because you can't. And that's the proof of it. Pat, Venezuela has the best performing stock market. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's not fixed. Well, they got the highest inflation rates, like 60,000. You can't afford food there if you have Venezuelan dollars, but I'd be very careful with if you want to buy Venezuela stock, you just give me the money and I'll invest it in gold for you if you want to make money. But I wouldn't touch Venezuela. I mean, it's communist and heavily inflated. Why would you want to do that? So obviously they print the money and put it in their stock market. It's not free market, right? So be careful. Ever notice how there's always a buyer and seller in the stock market? Well, that's called a market maker. That's supposed to happen. So if I'm a market maker and Luke, you want to sell me 100 shares of Apple, I'm going to buy them from you. And then if Pat wants to buy the 100 shares of Apple, I sell it to him. He's not selling. You guys aren't talking to each other. You're selling them and I buy them, the market maker. And then when he puts in his buy order, I have the inventory and sell it to him. So that's on purpose. So it's liquid. So that's exactly what should be happening. But what happens if there's too many sellers and no buyers, my inventory gets large and everybody's selling and I keep buying and selling and selling. But if nobody on the other end starts buying, which is about what's going to happen, then the market will crash because it's all selling and no buying. So there does need to be buyers to take my inventory. I'm out of the system. I don't trust anything on a screen. Well, that's why we buy gold and silver. Then you buy physical and you hold it and you're safe. Then you have nothing to worry about. But it's all basically Madoff. The whole thing, that's how scary it is. Madoff ran the NASDAQ, right? A guy like that's running the NASDAQ. That's how stupid they are. So yeah, I don't trust the stock market at all. I know the dollar's printed to death. I mean, anything the government touches turns to shit. We all know that. So therefore, how do you trust it? Which means I can't trust the dollars printed. I know there's $150 trillion out there, of which a lot of the BRICS countries are getting away from the dollar. So you used to need it to buy oil. Well, now you don't need it. It's coming back to the U.S. and they'll slowly start selling their stocks and homes because they're going to need money. Now you have the French needing money, the UK needing money. Where do you think these people have their money? In the U.S. stock market, house market, and bank. Well, as these guys are losing, what are they going to do? Well, okay, sell 100,000 of my stocks in the U.S. and then sell my house I have in the US, take my money out of the bank in the US. I'll find a safer place for it. And that's what will happen. I don't know if they'll be able to get the money out of the banks, but we'll see. But that's why the markets will crash here is all these foreigners with their money here thinking it's safe. I mean, go figure that out. We know it's bullshit, but for some reason the Western Europeaners think, oh, the US, their dollar's safe. And well, maybe when it was petrodollar, but it ain't petro anymore. And you've heavily inflated it and nobody's buying the debt. I think that's the biggest example of no demand. They're not buying, they can't sell their T-bills because nobody wants them. China just sold $3 trillion back to us in T-bills through the secret banks or shadow banks. I love that. And they got 3 more trillion they're about to send to us, as does the Japanese, because they don't want our money. Putin said it. It's like candy wrapper. It's like a Snickers wrapper. The dollar is worthless. So he knows. Hitler knew. I mean, funny, they're all crazy, but they all know about money. It's amazing. I prefer rare video games than a pension fund. Well, yeah, and you're going to prefer Rolexes and Mantle cards to the video games because the Mantle cards got huge demand. The video game, I'm not sure how big that demand is. But anything that's limited with high demand, you want to get. So if it's video games, more power to you. Get more gold because we know that's money and that's going to be in demand. So, master's class, got an email, just can you explain it a little bit? Okay, so to sign up for it, now I got 3 master's classes. I got 1 in economics and I got 2 in football. So here's the Teaserking website, which is moi. Go to the home page, you get my email and just an understanding of me. I explain what a teaser bet is. Most people here know, but some don't. History, you can see what my picks were and how I did. And then purchase picks. So you're going to click on purchase picks. And up pops this box. This is the pros. This is the college. And this is if you want to buy both for football. This is if you want locks. Why is this so blurry? There we go. So this is if you want a week of locks or a whole year of locks. And then here's Austrian economics. So if you want to take that class, it's just $25. You pay for it. I get your email and we set up a time. Now, there should be more than one person in the class, but I'll do one person. But, I'll do 10, 25 people, whatever it is. And then just like this, you ask comments. And I'll talk about different things in Austrian economics, gold, investments, banking, inflation, Adam Smith, these other countries going out, what's happening, I'll explain everything. The Titanic, which is the dollar going out, prices, price control, everything I have. I have a nice, where is it? Where it be? So I did one on, there's gold, there's fiat, there's deflation, inflation, interest rates, free market, Keynesian, Austrian, Bitcoin versus gold, Titanic, de-dollarization, what is inflation, cause and effect. I'll go through different topics and then you can jump in and say, hey, can you go over this? What's going on in gold? Or I'll explain what's going on in certain things in the latest news. So it'll be a very comprehensive. It's called a master's class because it's my master's class. So I got a master's in economics and finance from a very good business school. And just like I talk here, but I'll get more in depth and it's it's a class and then you ask questions. This is a class also, but I'll get more detailed on it, and it'll just be economics. So if you want to learn about Austrian economics, because it's very important and nobody knows about it, then I will remove the curtain and explain it to you. So again, you can ask. It'll go about 45 minutes to an hour, and there'll be different classes. So you sign up. Okay, we'll talk inflation and stuff, and then next week you sign up, and we'll do gold and silver and brics and common, whatever the topics are. Then there's two for football. There's a college picks class where I'll go through the games and give you the picks and walk you through everything. Same in pros, just like I do with baseball. So those are the three classes. So if you sign up for college picks, I'm going to go through the college games, the picks. We can talk about 5-team teasers. We can talk what's a teaser, why play a teaser, and here's my lock for the week. So all that'll be on there. Same thing with pros. We'll go through the pro games. So those will be 25 a week. Or you can go up here to these and simply, if you want, I'll buy pro in college for $100, and you get the picks. You get a password with the picks. Everything's PayPal. You get the picks. You can save money and go 4 weeks, and you can save money and go a whole year. So the best is really $750 for the year because you get 20 weeks. So it's like $40-$50 a week versus spending $100. A lot of people do this one for $300. You get 4 weeks, which is $75 a week. And then down here is baseball, but I'm just giving you baseball now because really we're trying to figure out all the different analytical parts of it, how to figure it out, how to bet it. So I'm doing pretty well at it, but I'm not ready to. I don't want anybody to buy it until I got it where I can make you money at it. And so that's where it is. So if you want the YouTube classes there, if you want the economics class there, and then the pros there. So again, this is teaserking.com, which is moi. And that's where you would go for the classes. So that's basically what it is. It's just simply a more in-depth approach and specific. Okay, we're going to talk inflation, and I'll walk you through that much more clearly than I do here. Although here I'm pretty good at it. But this way, you just want the class. You want to learn economics. You don't know. You didn't get taught. You don't even know there's Keynesians and Austrians. You like to know the difference. And so I get much more in detail and explain it. And then it goes to video. So if you can't make the class, you can always see the video because it goes by email. And then there's just different areas of Austrian economics we'll talk about. That's the point of it. So you want to learn economics. You're tired of getting screwed over by the Keynesians, but you don't even know you're getting screwed over from the Keynesians. You don't even understand what Keynesians economic is, which is basically communism, and the government controls the market, basically. Yes, precious metals is king. I will join someday as I just salary on metals. That's fine, Pat. No problem. Whatever you want. I don't force people to do anything. I just offer it. And then if they want to learn it, they sign up. If they don't, that's okay. So here I'm going to just go with France is going bankrupt and I explain it, or England or Germany. So that's what's new about it. So I got some videos, but we'll talk baseball and then I'll get into this. Gold 24.56. We're getting out of danger. Usually by 12 o'clock, it starts tanking, and it's 12 o'clock now. So hopefully we don't see it go down, but that's just a derivative. I like when they try to say like the 9 o'clock, 24.69 to 24.36. I like they try to call it profit taking or consolidation. It's like, no, it's a derivative, you idiots. This is the problem. You listen to these guys, they don't know what they're talking about, but you listen to them and you go, oh, that's what's happening. No, that's not what's happening. They're fucking don't know what they're talking about. And that's where the problems arise. You start listening to Rick Rude and Reichert and Maloney and Andy Scheckman, and you get the wrong information. That's the problem. And there's selling and there's a sell off in gold. This is what they tell you, and you believe it because you think those guys know what they're doing, and it's not. There's no gold, as I say, being sold at that time. If me and you, everybody here sold 10 tons of gold, it wouldn't move the price of nickel because they're not looking at the market. They're looking at the derivatives that JP Morgan are doing. That's what's happened. So JP Morgan ran a derivative, or the guy in London ran his derivative, and the demand brought it right back up. And that's what the difference is. Why it would go down before, there was no demand, so they would just tank it down. They were controlling the price with it. But now central banks are waiting, and as soon as they see it drop, they start buying it. And they're this as long as it's under 3,000. Now the Bitcoin to gold, Bitcoin is all right, limited to 21 million. I don't consider that limited. When I love doing this because this is 50. This is limited 50, not 21 million. In any way, shape, or form, it ain't limited. We don't know anything about real Bitcoin. Who invented it? The guy's secretive. Why would this guy be secretive? Because he doesn't exist. Bitcoin's a scam and it's a Ponzi scheme, but nobody wants to tell you that. People made money on it. Well, I made money on my Montana card when I bought it for $100, and it's worth $125,000 if it's a 10. It'll probably be a 9 or a 10, so it'll be worth like 10 grand or 125. And I got it for $100, but that's not the point. The point is what it's at now. And the point with gold is if you get in, I got in about 1,600. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is that it's 24.57 right now. That's the point of gold. And if you have 100 ounces, just for an example, and it goes up $100, you made $10,000. And if gold goes from 2,500 to 3,000 as it's supposed to, you'd have made $50,000. But you know why? Because gold's in demand, because the dollar's going out, you would have made $50,000. Can you make $50,000 in Bitcoin? If you bought it at 5 or 10 and you held it to, now, which is really strange. I'll need to talk to people about how to make money gambling. Okay, fine. But now if you bought in at 65,000, you've lost money. Well, I don't hear from those guys. If you bought it at 70,000, you lost money. If you bought it at, you didn't buy it maybe at 40. Okay, you made 10 grand. But in gold, we know it's going up $500. We know BRICS is coming out with the gold-backed currency. So therefore it will, every $100, we're going to make $10,000 if you have 100 ounces of gold. Let's say you have 50. So you make $5,000 for every ounce. For every 100, it goes up. And when it goes to 10 or 20 grand, you can make a fortune. Can you make the fortune in Bitcoin? And Bitcoin price to dollars versus gold, you have the gold. So when the dollar collapses, the gold's worth even more because now the demand goes to gold because I can't use the dollars. Bitcoin goes to zero. What's the value of Bitcoin? We don't even know what it is because it doesn't exist. It's a computer, it's a spreadsheet. So, and then they the blockchain. Oh, that's really different than a general ledger or your checkbook register that shows all your transactions. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing that is. Yeah. Okay, we've got it. Then been there, done that. It's just a general ledger, the blockchain, big fucking deal. How hard was that to invent? Like, took what, 10 seconds to look at a general ledger going, oh, that's what we need for Bitcoin, a general ledger that's been existed in accounting for 100 years. Oh my God. That's how naive people are. So gold, you make, 50 ounces, you make 5,000 every 100. So now we're up 50,000. Now we're up 100,000. Now we're up 150,000. And in Bitcoin, what are you doing? Because you need the whole coin to go. You need the whole concept to go up. But as people see the gold go up, they start getting out of the Bitcoin going, oh, I got to move there. I didn't think gold moved because it's manipulated, but now it is. And wait till Russia and BRICS get a hold of it. So Reichard tried to explain that it's not a gold-backed currency, but the dollar is backed by gold. What an idiot. So he's saying it's not gold-backed. Well, yes, it is. If there's 40% of the dollars backed by gold, it's a gold-backed currency. This is how stupid these Keynesians are. They invent things that aren't there, and then he says, well, it's not a gold-backed. You can't go to the bank and cash it in. Yes, you can. That's the point of a gold-backed currency. The currency is backed by gold, so it won't get inflated. That's the reason. With all the inflation, and this is worthless, but if this was backed by gold, it wouldn't be worthless because you couldn't print it to death, and it would always be, you'd have gold, the value of the gold, keeping this dollar's value. But, so that's why you back the dollar by gold, to keep the value, and you keep it from inflating. So how do you call a dollar backed by gold not a gold-backed currency? This guy's an idiot. I have a hard time listening to him because he's wrong so badly, and that's what I'll teach in class, what exactly it is, and then I'll use a guy like that and say, this is what he's saying, and he's wrong. But in October, gold-backed currency. So there's a few videos I wanted to say. 2458. We're going up some more. We'll get back to that 2469. I'm excited for when I actually see this at 2500, not the futures at 2500. Silver 2847, making its push back to 30, but the problem will be the derivatives down, so maybe we can jump past it. All right, so let's go to my like videos. When I see a video I want to talk about, I like it, so I can put it in my my like category. So here's depositors and tiers. This lady in China lost 600,000 in the bank. They converted them to bonds without her authorization. So you got 600,000 in the bank, and the bank says, well, we put it into a bond for you. You'll get it in so many years. She's crying, it's my life savings, 600,000, which is basically 7 to 1. So 700,000 is 100,000 US. So it's about $80,000. And she's crying. Well, you're an idiot. You left your money in the bank. This is my point. I don't want to see any of you guys crying that you lost your money in the bank. You are being warned, and you are being shown. Do not leave your money in the bank. I don't care how much it is. If you want to get your money turned into bonds, then, and you want to cry, then just keep your money there. But don't come to me, oh, they won't give me my money. Well, of course they won't give you their money. They're going to steal it. This is what governments do to people, unless you're in gold and silver where they can't. So that's the key. So I won't play this, but she's basically crying, going, oh, I lost all my money. I want it. Well, you fucked up. You trusted the communist government. UK is going bankrupt. Now they get into the reasons why UK is going bankrupt, which is what I kind of started with. All these socialized programs, the government taking the money for Social Security, for the different minimum wage, for health care. All this stuff is socialism, and socialism doesn't work because it's the government running the money. You want to go to your doctor and choose what you pay for. And this is free market, right? This is get the fuck away. I'll take care of myself. Thank you very much. Oreo cookies are $10 a box. I'm not going to buy them. I'll buy Chips Ahoy at $5 a box. And it's all that where you you make the decisions because you make your decisions spending your money better than the government makes decisions spending everybody's money. And that's why the UK is collapsing. It's just all the money. Then they want to make high taxes. There's one on 90% tax. It must be embedded in one of these. Oh, it's France. We'll play France. Then I liked another France one. Anyway, and now we'll look at, so UK is collapsing. Oh, France is collapsing. This comes back to us. These are people that buy our goods and services and sell our goods and services. So we go to Kroger's and we get items from France and the UK or China or Japan or, wherever these items come from, we go and buy them. But if they're all bankrupt, then we're not going to have anything to buy. That really makes it tough. So let's look a little bit at the UK and then we'll look at France. And then UK millionaires are moving to these cities. So you're going to raise your tax rate to 80%. And we're going to tax the rich, as shoeless Joe Biden says. We're going to tax the rich. Really? UK millionaires are moving. Oh, wait a minute. The rich aren't going to stay here because they're rich and they can live wherever the fuck they want. So wait a minute. So you're raising taxes on the rich. They're all leaving. Well, that plan didn't work. And now we got to tax the poor, the lesser people. How good's that going to do? That's going to fuck your economy because it's going to take all the money out of the private sector into the public sector. We already know what happens when the public sector has all the money. They can't make the good decisions on it. That's why you need Austrian economics, free market capitalism, where the people make the decisions. That always works. It's always worked. Every good country that has been successful has done Austrian economics. Adam Smith, invisible hand, keep it small government, get the fuck out of our ways. Let us buy and sell on our own, and we'll be much more productive. I'll do baseball in a minute. 12 o'clock. All right, let's do baseball now. And then we'll get back to the UK, France, and where the UK millionaires and the US debt. Well, we know all about that. All right. $24.56 gold. Here we go. So it's gone up about $10 since we've been on here at the critical time at noon. So once we get past 12:31, it should run up another 5-10 points. All right. So yesterday's games. We had a good day yesterday. We have Boston over 9. Texas wins 9-7. Baltimore over 9. Baltimore wins 4-1. I can't figure it out. Both pitchers were in the 4s, and it's a 4-1 game. So Baltimore's not hitting. We didn't play Cleveland, beat the Cubbies 6-1. Detroit beat Seattle 3-2. We didn't want to touch. What a joke. I'm listening to the game. It's 2-0 Seattle in the bottom of the 9th, and there's 2 outs, and a Tiger hits a double, and up comes this guy who was injured. He came back. He starts hitting. Now first base is open, right? You have a guy on second and 2 outs. Maybe I should walk the guy. He's been hot and pitch to the other guy. No. He pitches to him. On a 2-strike count, hits a 2-run homer, ties the game. And then the guy after him grounds to the pitcher. And you're like, how the fuck didn't you intentionally walk this guy? He's been hot, or at least, I guess they've been getting him out on high fastballs, and on the 0-2 or 1-2 pitch, they groove the fastball right down the middle, and he hit a 2-run homer. Sounds like it's fixed, doesn't it? How do you not walk this guy, or at least not pitch him anything good to hit? You got him 1-2, maybe pitch inside, jam him, or outside, or sliders or screwballs or something. So he hits a 2-run homer, and the Tigers win in the 10th. total fixed game here. The manager should be fired because he's an idiot for pitching to this guy, right? You walk him. First and second, 2 outs. Next guy grounds out to the pitcher, and you win the game 2-0. Why the fuck would you pitch to this guy who's hot? Unbelievable. Incredibly. If it was me, I'd be firing that manager tomorrow. Let me manage these teams and we win. Cincinnati wins 9-2. They scored some runs. I didn't care to partake. I didn't have any idea. Philly 9-5. Philly comes through for us over 8.5. W there. Houston gets the win 2-1. Bianco gets the win, the no-hitter guy. We got the JETSs. The Jets Mets win 9-1. There we go. The Yankees. I thought I lost this game. I have them over 9.5, and it was like 2-1 in the 7th, 8th inning, and all of a sudden, I look at the final. They won 10-2. Oh my God! So I won that one. And Milwaukee over 9's a push. They go 5-4, and Toronto beats California 9-2, and Atlanta beats the 49ers 13-2. So very inconsistent. I got to look at this Yankee game. I have it as a loss over 9.5. They got nothing. The score is 2-1. The White Sox, and then the Yankees score 3 in the 7th and 6 in the 8th, and I win the game. Unbelievable. Wow. That's the bullpen for you. So I don't go 5-2. I actually go 5-1. I got to push on the Milwaukee game. So I win Boston, lose Baltimore, hit the Phillies over, Houston, the Jets, the Yankees over, and push Milwaukee. What a beautiful day, 5-1. I love it when you mark the game a loser because we had to go over 9 and it's 2-1. I mean, they've gotten 1 run, right? And then, they pulled the starter and the reliever came in and gives up 9 runs. Why did you pull the starter? Oh, he pitched 80 pitches. So he's a major league pitcher. What's the problem? These pitchers are so fucked up. These managers are even dumber. They're all using analytics. Okay, so let's go here and we'll get back to it. 30,000 is the danger zone for the shorts. $30 in silver, I believe you're talking. Yeah. Well, once we get over 35, it'll go to 50. And they're keeping it down, mostly for Saudi Arabia and India to buy the silver for the solar panels and the electric cars. That's what's happening. They need it. Where they're going for it, I don't know. COMEX doesn't have it, but they're not forced to deliver like gold. So yes, 30, but it's only temporary. It'll break. Do I know Manico 64? No, I never heard of it. The point is to measure your wealth in weight. The point is to measure your wealth in weight. I don't get the point of that. What does that have to do with anything? The point is how much is what you're worth. So you keep in mind gold's 2460 in inflated dollars. That's the problem with it. It's not a real. It's in these crap dollars is the problem. So that's what I'm saying. When we get rid of the dollars and gold's got its value in gold, it'll be much, much higher because everything priced in these dollars, like a house, is really not worth that much in gold as it is in dollars. And that's what you got to realize. So as the dollar loses value, the prices of everything go up. Like Coke went from $1.59 to $2.95. Well, that's in this shit. So gold will be much, much higher in gold than in this shit. All right, 110. So we got an hour. We got Seattle, Detroit. Seattle minus 135.8. Bryce Miller 9-7 with 3.46. Alex Fado 5-3 with the 3.62. In what should be, I'm going to go under with it. Seattle under 8. And I can only go 2 units out of a Tiger game. Bryce Miller, 9-7, 3.46. They have a good bullpen. I mean, the guy who gave up the 2-run homer had like a 2.0 ERA, but he grooved him the pitch. Sounds like on purpose. So you got to wonder about that. You're not sure why they would groove a pitch on a 2-strike count unless they bet on the Tigers. Vallejo, I don't know. Detroit keeps doing this really stupid thing. They'll pitch their guy 1 inning, and then they have this other guy come in and pitch 4 or 5 innings. Why not just have the guy pitch the first 4 or 5? Well, he doesn't know how to be a starter. Oh, he's a major leaguer, or is he still in AAA? What the fuck are you talking about? So the guy comes in with 5 innings and gives up 2 runs, and they're all excited because, yeah, but he did it in 5 innings, not 9 innings. He only pitched 5. And he doesn't start, so he's not pitching the meat of the order. He's not pitching 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. He's starting with the 5th hitter, the 6th hitter, so he can't. He's not even starting with the best hitters. So, oh yeah, he looks really good pitching the 200 hitters. All right, so we're gonna go there. Oakland and the Mets. Mets are 198.5. Mitch Spence 7-8 with the 4-3 against Jose Quintana, 6-8 with the 4.10. The Mets have been pounding him pretty good. We'll go with the Mets one more time. Although I do like the over in the game. Both ERAs suck, but Oakland doesn't hit. That's the problem. The Dodgers, Milwaukee. The Dodgers 137.5. Jack Flaherty from the Tigers, from San Diego, from Baltimore, 9-5 with a 2.97. Tobias Maya, 6-5 with a 2.79. This over under 7.5. I don't know. It's hard because they both can hit, and you think with the 2.97, 2.79, it'll be low scoring, but it's 7.5. I'm going to be careful with this one. I'm gonna lay away from it. I think it will be low scoring, but I don't like the 7.5. Atlanta and the 49ers, Max Fried for Atlanta, 7-6, 3.56. Logan Webb, 10-8 with the 3.32. Frisco hasn't been hitting. Atlanta's put up 11 runs yesterday, but I doubt they're going to do it against this guy with the 3.32. Over under a 7. I'm going to avoid this game too. Either of these pitchers could shut out the other. Probably an under, but I don't like 7. So fuck it. Boston at Baltimore, a new series. Baltimore minus 145, 8.5. It's in Baltimore, not in Boston. Nick Pivetta, 5-7, 4.44. Zach Eflin, 8-7 with a 3.83. And if I look at Baltimore at home, hits 258. Boston on the road hits 263. So there should be scoring. I'm going to go over. Although Baltimore hasn't hit, have they? Well, let's try them very small. Baltimore over 8.5. 2 units. Because Baltimore's bats have been quiet a little bit. And not in Boston. But the pitchers are kind of weak, so we should get that. Measure your wealth and weight. Pat. Washington, Philly. That's it. Philly minus 308. Mitchell Parker, 6-6 at 3.82. Zach Wheeler, 11-5 with 2.78. We're going to go Philly. We'll go 3 units. And Minnesota, Texas. Minnesota minus 128. Bailey over, 12-5, 3.52. Cody Bradford. So let's go under here. Texas under 8. We'll go 2 units. And that's all the games. I'm scrolling down. I'm not seeing anything. So we got Seattle under 8, 2 units. The Mets, 2 units. Philly, 3 units. Baltimore over 8.5, 2. Texas under 8, 2. Maybe I'll add a game. I can't play Atlanta, Frisco. I got Baltimore, Philly, and Texas. The Dodgers and Milwaukee. All right, let's go under. Milwaukee under 7.5 for 2 units. All right, so it's Seattle under 8, the Mets, Baltimore over 8.5, Philly, Texas under 8, Milwaukee under 7.5, and that's all we got. Very little day, but a lot of them are 1 o'clock. Seattle's 1 o'clock. The Mets are 1 o'clock. The Dodgers are 2 o'clock. Atlanta's 3:45. We only have 3 night games. So that's why I came on a little earlier to cover that. Okay, back to you, Pat. The point is to measure your wealth in weight. And what's the point of that? I don't understand that. Why it should be value, not weight. All right. So let's look at the UK collapsing. We'll just do a little bit of this.
Pay close attention to this. Energy flows to where attention goes. If you are focusing...
Not a lot of countries are experiencing a downfall as dramatic as the United Kingdom. The country that once ruled over the largest empire in history is now fading into irrelevance. In 2007, the country had a slightly higher GDP per capita than the United States. Now it only has 60% of America's figure, with a GDP per capita of $46,000 compared to $76,000 in the US. The UK is actually poorer than Mississippi, the poorest state in the US, with a GDP per capita of around $48,000. And if current trends continue, Poland could overtake the UK in GDP per capita within a decade. And this doesn't come out of nowhere. Adjusted for inflation, there has been virtually no economic growth in the UK since 2007. In part, this is due to a sudden halt in productivity growth. If the productivity trend from before 2007 had continued, the UK's economy would have been 25% bigger than it is now. But there's a lack of innovation and investment, and the country is falling behind its peers. This has also had an effect on real wages, meaning wages adjusted for inflation. Brits are earning a similar amount now as back in 2008, meaning purchasing power has stalled. Before this period, real wages used to grow 33% a decade.
So he says purchasing power, but he doesn't say inflation. It's amazing how stupid these guys are. Inflation is printing the money, which destroys the value of the dollar, which means it purchases, it's worth less. It buys less because the value of it has decreased because you printed it. And it's the same concept in all these, the whole world, every country. It's the same concept. It's you printed the money and the money's worthless. And that's why you're defaulting. I mean, it's very simple, but these guys somehow can't understand it in simple terms. That's it. You printed the money. It's worthless. It's happened in Rome. It happened in Germany. It happened in France. It happened in England. It happened in Spain and on, in Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina, Greece, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. And somebody said to me, well, those are small countries. It doesn't matter the size of the country. It matters you fucked up the dollars. So again, a simple point of purchasing power, not calling it inflation. And then I love when they call it debasement. You're not debasing dollars. You can't. Debasement's taking the gold and silver out of the coins that are gold and silver. How can you debase this? There is no gold and silver in it. This is being inflated away. This is being printed to nothing. It's not debasement. And yet they keep saying it, but they don't know what they're talking about. And it's just funny because if they say it like this, they're debasing the currency, you know. Okay, first of all, you're wrong. Secondly, who are you trying to prove this to? Nobody understands what the fuck you're talking about anyway. You're inflating it, but they don't want to use the word inflation because the government might get mad or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's inflation.
Traded companies in the UK also had a terrible past 2 decades. We can see this in the FTSE stock index, tracking the country's 100 biggest stocks. At the time of writing this video, it has only grown about 25% since the beginning of the century. For comparison, the American S&P 500 index has grown over 250% during the same time period.
Again, it's fixed. You can't look at the U.S. stock market for growth because they're pumping money into it. The J.P. Morgan printing press of the Fed is printing money and putting it in the market. So that's not a real market either. That's why and gold's not a real market because they're doing the derivatives on it. So you can't say the gold price is real. That's the biggest mistake these guys make. They say, well, the gold's up or down and it's profit taking or selling gold. No, it isn't. It's derivatives. It's up today because it's derivative. Nobody bought gold today. That's on the radar of deflation, and nobody sold gold yesterday. Nobody goes and buys and sells. They buy gold, but nobody sells gold. You got to be kidding me. Only the people that have had gold and they see it high and they go, oh, I'm going to sell it at $24.50. I need the money. Or before it comes down. No. It's not coming down. It's going up because we're finally killing the derivative. Again, you don't realize. And the same thing with he's saying Europe or England used to be the same as the U.S. is now the size of Mississippi. That's what I talk about with variables. The variables have changed. It's not the same. So you can't just look at England in 1960 and in 1920 and 1940 versus England today. It's totally different. It's gone socialist. They're not using their gold. They don't have any gold. And as soon as you get rid of your gold, you got about 5 minutes till you're fucked and your money's worthless. And it happens. Everybody that doesn't have gold, and look who's got the gold now. China, Russia, India, South America, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. Geez, So, that's why you've got to be smart. All right.
Around, 10 times as much. But all of these things leave us questioning why the country is struggling so much. Or, as Britons would say, in a bit of a pickle. Is it government policy?
Yes.
International competition?
No.
Or other fundamentals that are causing this decline?
Government.
In this video, we'll take a close look at the UK's economy, and we'll go over the possible consequences that this downfall might have.
It's called collapse.
And you can see the UK, the higher these bars are, the more unequal. The UK is much more unequal than many other countries around Europe.
With no plans to improve its resilience, Britain is heading for systems collapse. Everyone's on strike, the NHS is broken, and we're skint. Where do we go from here?
The impact of lockdowns during the pandemic, according to the Centre for Social Justice, which produced the report, is that life is going backwards for many, with staggeringly high numbers experiencing mental health conditions.
As mentioned earlier, things started going down.
Own a Steak and Shake franchise for a total of
too many commercials on YouTube. I was watching something yesterday, and I must have had 10 commercials.
As mentioned earlier, things started going downhill for the UK from 2008. So, to truly understand the roots of the problem, we have to look back to the Great Financial Crisis. 2008 saw the worst recession in the UK since World War II, only surpassed by the COVID shock in 2020. Because the country has a large financial sector, the impact of the crisis was huge. Following the collapse of the Lehman Brothers and the issues with subprime mortgages in the US, the global financial market was in shambles. Many banks globally, including the ones in the UK, faced liquidity issues. They couldn't get their customers' cash back because they were holding bad loans. The British Northern Rock Bank...
So we talked about this yesterday. How does a bank work? Luke gives me $50,000 and I'm going to give him 3% interest on it. I'm going to take his $50,000 and loan it out to somebody who wants a house or a car at 7%. And then they pay me and I get the 7%. I give Luke 3%. I keep 4%. That's how a bank works. But if I don't get the 7% in on the mortgage that I lent out or the car or the loan, if the person doesn't pay me back for the loan, I can't pay Luke. So that's how the bank goes under. And that's what's happening is people can't afford to make the payments on their loans, and I can't pay Luke, and we got a lot of problems. That's what happened with Credit Suisse. The sheik took $10 billion out, and they couldn't deal with it. They didn't have the money to pay them. All right.
Experienced these problems, which led to the first bank run in the UK in 150 years. There were also financial issues with the HBOS Bank, the Royal Bank of Scotland, and the Bradford and Bingley Bank. The government in London, as well as the country's central bank, the Bank of England, stepped in to provide emergency loans. This was to restore confidence and to prevent the crisis from spreading even further. Still, these problems in the financial sector had long-lasting effects. Because the government spent a lot of money on bailing out banks and fighting the crisis, government debt soared. The problems with government finances led to a decade of austerity, which we'll discuss later. The 2008 crisis also had an impact on the rest of the economy. Because of reduced lending and public trust, spending declined, and the country's GDP fell by 6%. But this recession was very different from others, which we can see on this chart comparing the post-recession recoveries. Most of the time, growth is back on track 3 or 4 years after the crisis starts. But in 2008, the crisis had caused a stagnation of about a decade. What makes this even worse is that 12 years later, the country got hit by another economic disaster. Or we should say 2. The COVID pandemic caused a record GDP decline of 11% in 2020, the worst economic performance since 1709. It was a steeper decline than any other major economy. Like many other governments, London turned to inflationary financing to prevent things from going from bad to worse. Basically, it was keeping the economy alive with government debt. This debt went from 86% of GDP to 105% of GDP in a year.
See, this part I don't understand. You have people in the government in charge of the money who doesn't understand what inflation is. How is this possible? Well, the economy is slowing down, so let's print money to stimulate it. I'm sorry, what book is that from? Oh, the Keynes book? Oh, that's how the communists do it, because they have the government control the market? And then when has that ever worked? Oh, it never has? Why the fuck are they doing it? This is the point. What are they doing? You don't print money to stimulate your economy. That's inflation, and that kills the dollars. So you're it's not even robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're robbing Peter and robbing Paul. You're basically making your money worthless. Why are we not backed by gold? Oh, because the governments can't steal the money, and George Soros is behind all this, saying, no, we're going Keynesian. This is all George Soros is doing. And then he gets those people in power that don't know what they're doing. Hence, we got big fucking problems. And here's what did the UK do? Oh, they printed money. What does the US do? We print money. What did France do? They printed money. And what happened? Oh, yeah, inflation, and the dollars are worthless. This is why the euro is gone. Well, the British pound's different, but the France and Germany are killing the euro, and Italy and Spain. So this is what's happening to it. So a little bit more of this, but you can see it's the government inflating the money, making it worthless. And there goes the UK. There goes the US. There goes France. There goes Germany. There goes every country that doesn't have gold, which is every country. Now we look at, well, wait a minute, what are they going to do? They're going to have to buy gold, because that'll be the only money worth anything. And even if the UK and France and the US come out with another wonderful dollar, not backed by gold, it won't last but 4 or 5 months, because it's the same dollar you have now. So there's no way it's going to fix anything. So if they come out with a new dollar, it isn't backed by gold, it's worthless. Then just keep your gold and off you go. And this is the problem. This is why I'm saying $20,000 gold. And that's a joke. That's very conservative, because every country's fucked themselves printing the gold, printing the dollar, not backing it by gold. And then they still don't back it by gold. That's the way out of it, but they won't do it. And then it becomes a nightmare, and then it kills everybody. And the people with the dollars, they're worthless. So the Warren Buffets, who have $20 billion, has nothing. It's monopoly money. So then you cause this big chaos, because they're all fucking idiots. And the only way to survive is with gold and silver on that lifeboat. And that's the only lifeboat. I give you some others like Mantle and Jordan rookie cards in Montana and Rolexes, which will always hold their value because there's always going to be demand for them. But only the people with gold will be able to buy them. And so there's going to be So we're kind of sneaking, slowly, quietly, stealthily, buying our gold, buying our silver, waiting for this craziness, and then we'll be fine. And that's the only way you can survive this. It's going to be a lot of problems. That's why you buy a little extra gold and a little extra silver for your family or your girlfriends. Otherwise, because what you're going to do, you can't let them just rot. So you have to buy a little bit more and take care of them. But yeah, it's this stupidity. And then somehow the communist Chinese and Russians figure out, hey, we need to buy gold. Those will be the ones in power, and those will be the ones that'll be safe, are the Chinese, Russians, although I wouldn't want to live in China. Russia, maybe. India, no. Saudi Arabia, I don't know. Dubai, maybe that's a good place to live. They don't tax you there, so, but it's expensive. And then I don't know what South Africa, no. Venezuela, no way. Argentina, no way. So you got to be very careful with that. But it's the same story. You print the money, it becomes worthless, and you ruin your economy. And why these idiots are in charge of the money is beyond stupidity, and that's what you have.
Up about 20 percentage points. The country's central bank, the Bank of England, also helped with this. Through quantitative easing, it pumped nearly £500 billion in the economy in 2020 and 2021. This worked out in the first year, as most of the initial damage was already undone by 2021. But giving a lot of stimulus to the economy comes with a price, as it can create inflation later on.
It is inflation.
This process, also called the transmission process, can take 1 or 2 years to complete. As the UK was gearing up for a post-COVID inflation wave, it was hit by another crisis. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, energy prices soared due to sanctions. At its peak, electricity in the UK became nearly 10 times as expensive. The government in London tried to help consumers with support packages, but that didn't really do much to prevent inflation. Combined with the effects of COVID, there was a massive cost of living crisis.
Again, they think inflation is prices going up. Well, when they printed money, that's going to lead to inflation. No, that is the inflation. And then the price is going up because you sanctioned Russia and you paid more for your energy because you bought it from the U.S. That's not inflation. That's higher prices. Prices going up is not inflation. I just don't. It's hard to listen to this stupidity that I listen to.
In October of 2022, inflation reached a peak of 11.1%, a 40-year high. The Bank of England had to increase interest rates to slow down the economy and ease inflation. Think of high interest.
Again, thinking inflation's cost. So when they raise interest rates, they know things are going to get more expensive, so the economy is going to slow. What kind of fucking fucked up way is that? You don't do that. You don't raise interest rates to slow the economy. You cause unemployment. When the problem isn't, it's got nothing to do with that. It's you printed too much fucking money and the money's worthless. So it takes more dollars to buy things because the dollar isn't worth as much. So the dollar, if $100 now buys you $1, that's not prices going up. It's the dollar's worthless. Why don't you get gold and back it by gold? Why did you get off of gold? Because you're all fucking idiots? What are you doing? Gold you can't print, so gold will hold its value, and you'll never have inflation, unemployment, wars, or any of this shit. Oh, yeah, but we don't want to go with gold because we can't print and steal because there are a bunch of crooks in the government.
Rates like hitting the brakes, where people lend less money and buy less goods. For example, it becomes more expensive to finance a car with a loan. But because purchasing power had just been slashed after the cost of living crisis.
So I asked ChatGPT to build me a Shopify store.
Shut the fuck
it
up.
Literally said no.
Get off my
the
video.
cost of living crisis, the spending decline got even worse. The same car that had just gotten harder to finance was also way more expensive due to inflation. And this didn't just happen with cars, but throughout the entire economy. In the final half of 2023, the UK was once again in a recession. Surprisingly, it was the only G7 nation to be in decline. although the other major economies experienced stagnation. GDP is once again recovering in 2024, but the crises of 2020 and 2022 hurt the country permanently. Economists predict that it caused a long-term loss of 3% of GDP. Still, this whole story doesn't seem to differ much from the rest of the world. Most countries experienced the same problems in 2008, 2020, and 2022. But the UK suffered way more from these crises than others did, which leads to an interesting question. Why is Britain so much worse off than its peers? Well, to understand this, we have to look at the country's economic fundamentals. As we've already discussed, productivity has stalled ever since 2007. This means that the country isn't making its people and resources more effective over time. Stagnating productivity goes hand in hand with low investment. Investment into things like infrastructure and research and development is usually what drives productivity growth. Unsurprisingly, the UK consistently ranks as the lowest of the G7 and among the lowest of the 37 developed economies in terms of investment. One of the key metrics in this regard is gross fixed capital formation, which measures how much money is invested rather than consumed. On this chart, we can see that ever since the late 1990s, the UK has been lagging behind its peers, France and the United States. The private sector is one of the issues here, as the UK has the lowest private sector investment in the G7. This has only been a problem for the last 2 decades. Back in 1996, it was actually second in private investment among G7 countries. If we dig even deeper, we can find the root cause for this decline. Before 2008, there was a few highly productive companies that were causing most of the productivity growth. The top 5% had growth in the double digits. These businesses included the UK's successful finance sector. The UK is the largest net exporter of financial services globally, with a £92 billion surplus in the financial sector in 2022. London is competing with New York as the world's financial capital. The point is, though, that the rest of the economy didn't enjoy similar growth. The bottom 40% of companies were already stagnating or even declining in productivity before 2008. In economics, this is called a two-speed economy, where some parts are growing but other parts are stagnating.
I don't know what economics he's talking about.
The two-speed problem is way worse in the UK than in other countries, such as France or Germany. As you can see on this chart, Britain has more low productivity companies on the left and more high productivity companies on the right. We can also see these divisions at a regional level. Some well-off parts of London have double or triple the income of southern Scotland or West Wales. Within London, there's also a nearly triple income difference between the poorest and the wealthiest districts. This is a symptom of wider problems. It means that some parts of the country are just way more productive than other parts. The reason is that investment is concentrated in just a few areas. London is attracting most of the foreign direct investment, with around 40 to 50% of the money going there. No wonder that London has outgrown all other regions by a long stretch. But following the crisis in 2008, the cracks begin to show. The businesses in the financial sector slowed down. This revealed the fact that most of the economy already had serious productivity and investment issues beforehand. So, a big issue is that the UK's workers are not productive enough, at least outside of London. But another fundamental problem is that the country doesn't have enough workers to begin with. The UK's workforce is collapsing, which undoubtedly plays a role in the economic decline.
Well, it's all banking, so they make money on their derivatives and their gold and their banking and financial service. I don't know what else that would be, sales, I guess. But that's all they have. It's a one system. There's no manufacturing because they can't do it cheaper than China. That's why China was there. They had cheap labor. That's why everybody flew to China, and now they're getting more expensive. Now everybody's flying to India to do the manufacturing, which is why China's in the shape it's in, part of the reason. But the UK, what do they make? They don't make anything. It's just financial. So you got one sector doing well. Everybody else is leaving. That's what you need in the economy is people being productive, making things, working, getting a salary, paying taxes on it. And that's how the country goes. But you don't have that. You just have one thing of people selling stocks, I guess, and the banks. It's just a banking thing. So I'm sure they got hit hard in 2008, and they're going to get hit hard now. All right, that's enough of this for now. Let's go to why is France destroying its economy? This ought to be funny.
Last June, the US rating agency, Standard & Poor's, downgraded the credit rating of French bonds to AA-. But okay, what does that mean? It means that the French economy has gone from being harder than cement to being less reliable than a slot machine. Among the other reasons are its huge public spending, its already very high taxes, and yet the country is still running a skyrocketing deficit. Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has said that the problems are one-off, and that, well, they've needed to spend a lot of money lately to combat inflation and unemployment caused by COVID. But let's be clear, spending lavishly has been a constant in France since time immemorial. And the problem is no longer just that they are wasteful, but that when presidents like Macron are trying to bring order and cut back a little, well, judge for yourselves. Imagine how serious the spending problem has to be for a politician like Macron to constantly insist on cuts, despite having half the country burning the streets every time he tries. The French deficit is one of the largest in the entire Eurozone, even larger than that of Greece or Spain, which, as you know, are not exactly known for being tight-fisted. And if the French budget balance is concerning, let's not forget its economic performance. Along with Germany, France has become one of the worst economic performers on the continent, even though the data corresponds to 2022, when the COVID recovery should, in theory, be helping. The world seems upside down, don't you think? Where has the mighty French Empire gone? It seems incredible that during the 20th century, France was one of the most prosperous economies in the world, and now we see it like this. So the question today is, what has changed? Why is France in free fall? And why does it seem to have no solution?
Let me guess. Inflation. Pat, bankruptomonics. What the hell is that? Government bonds worldwide are already worthless. Well, the dollars are worthless. Forget the bonds. The dollars. This is worth nothing. That's my point. So is this. These are all worthless because if you keep printing them, that's why this is all this is worth. Because if you keep printing it, they're going to lose value. Just like I keep saying, if you eat a chocolate cake every day, you will get fat and you will get sick. You will get diabetes because you can't eat a cake every day. And they can't print. They keep printing all this money, which you can't do. And it makes it worthless. So the bonds are worthless, especially in the U.S., because they'll never fucking pay it back. So let me see. There's 36 trillion in debt. Yeah, I want to buy a bond, and I'll hold my breath getting paid back because they're only 36 billion or $1 trillion ahead of me. So of course I'll get paid back. Come on. So this is the problem. And then everybody with the U.S. is dumping it, which is why the stock market and housing market will collapse, and the banks. That's why it'll all come back to haunt them, because it's a lot of foreign investment here, not U.S. people. So that's what's going to come home to roost, and that's what's really going to, the shit will really hit the fan, and it's starting to happen with China. And as these countries get poor, England, France, what do? They run to the U.S. where they have their stocks and houses, and they sell them because they need money. So they sell their assets. And when they sell their assets to get money, what happens to their U.S. asset? Oh, okay. And then it's crazy here. So that's what we're preparing for. But you can see this is coming around the block. Here's UK, France. So don't say like, oh, nobody goes bankrupt. They're all bankrupt. Nobody is realistic. Nobody's fine. I don't know what the hell that is.
Right. Well, let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Perhaps France's biggest problem is the weight of the state. I don't know if you realized, but France is the developed economy with the highest public spending over GDP in the world. So we could say that the socialism of the Soviet Union may have fallen, but the French are already following in its footsteps. And the problem is no longer just a large state, but everything that goes with it. I'm talking about a lot of public spending that requires a lot of taxes. France charges the highest taxes in relation to the GDP of the entire Eurozone and the European Union. The figure is almost double that of Ireland. We could almost say that these days the French work more to finance the state than for themselves. Conclusion? Well, companies pay the price. Nowadays, there are hardly any new companies with potential, as there used to be in the past. Large corporations such as Renault and Louis Vuitton no longer appear. And what can I say? It's not surprising either. The Heritage Foundation, which compiles and publishes the Index of Economic Freedom, states that the Gallic nation is not even among the 60 countries with the greatest economic freedom. That is to say, it's at the level of countries, hold on to your chair, such as Vietnam, Guatemala, or Vanuatu. But what if I told you that this wasn't always the case? Remember that for many years, France was an industrial powerhouse. I mean, at some point, the state had to be different than it is now. Well, do you know when it all changed? In 1977. That year, France implemented one of the largest increases in public spending ever recorded in history. It's scandalous. The state went from having a weight of less than 22% to more than 44% in 1978. This is known in economics as Parkinson's law. And it means that when the government raises public spending, it's very difficult to cut it in the future. When money is plentiful, bureaucrats have incentives to make...
I didn't know there was a law called that, because this guy just made it up. There is no, it's just, that's the way government is. Whenever they create something, they can't get rid of it. Even if it's on the books since 1900, they don't take anything off the books, even if it's not used. Bankrupt anonymous. Economics. It's just bankruptcy. Don't make it fancy. It's just bankruptcy.
Necessary expenditures. They hire underlings to take work off their hands, commission reports to justify the importance of their jobs, or the politicians themselves use the surplus to win new voters. And of course, let's see who's the smart one when the going gets tough. Who cuts all those new expenses? Because by then, it seems that expenses are understood as rights that cannot be withdrawn. For example, that the cost of pensions have risen too high and need to be moderated. Pensioners' demonstration. That there are too many journalism schools and it's necessary to close some of them in order to set up medical schools. Faculty strike. That unemployment benefits are excessive. That they're discouraging people from working and should be cut back. The unemployed strike, if that's possible. But this is no longer just a joke. It's what Macron has been dealing with over the last few years.
More than 1 million protests across France against Macron's pension reform.
In short, spending more is very easy and politically correct, but cutting back is almost impossible, which explains why states such as France's are only growing. But one thing is clear. From this discussion, we cannot overlook what happened in 1977. In other words, it's one thing for public spending to tend to grow, and quite another for it to double in just 1 year. So what the hell happened that year? Was Stalin's spirit reborn on the streets of Paris?
Project Diamond is an initiative that was inspired by Oklahoma.
The 1970s were like a cocktail shaker of disasters for the Western economy. On the one hand, there was the oil crisis, which, as you know, caused inflation to soar and industry to collapse. Automobiles,
How did that happen? What was he talking about? How does oil cause inflation to soar? It doesn't. It can't, because inflation's only printing the money. Oil doesn't print money. Now, what he means is prices went up because as oil goes up, it adds to your cost, and then you have to increase your price for my goods if the market will allow it. Just because your cost doesn't go up doesn't mean the market will allow it. If we don't want to buy $20 steaks, we don't. And then they got to lower their price, like Coca-Cola. They went up to $2.95. It hasn't gone past that, has it? It stayed at $2.95. And now it's buy two, get one free, because nobody wants to pay $3 for a 2-liter Coke. And as bad as it is for you, you shouldn't drink any sodas or pops. But that's the point. Your costs go up doesn't mean you can raise your price, because if people don't want to buy it, we are the market. We control it. If we say no, we're not going to pay, you're fucked. So you got to lower your price. So that's where the whole pricing thing is bullshit for inflation.
Electricity, luxury items. Almost all production was linked to dinosaur juice. But take note, because apart from the oil crisis, during the 1970s, there was another massive problem that nobody talks about. This was the same period in which Japan, China and South Korea developed sufficiently to compete with their Western counterparts. The domestic market share of the legendary French automakers went from almost 100% to just over half. But the fashion brands also had to face competition from low-cost producers. And you may be wondering, were the Asian countries really such big competition for France? I mean, sure, they had cheap labor, but heck, France was still France. One of the biggest manufacturing powers on the planet. Are you seriously telling me that they couldn't adapt? Well, no. And that had a lot to do with the subsidy policy carried out in the previous years by Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle was the military man and president who oversaw the early years of the Gallic country following the Second World War. One of his plans was to rebuild the country after the conflict was the so-called Monet Plan of 1946, a plan that was largely devoted to investing in infrastructure, but above all, to directing, subsidizing, and protecting large French companies. And you will say, so what's the problem? The problem is that excessive aid ended up fostering a complacent and stagnant business culture. Being subsidized, protected by the government, and with artificially low competition, companies stopped prioritizing innovation or the creation of new products. Proof of this is that investment in research and development was one of the lowest in the Western world until the oil crisis, not even 0.5% of GDP in 1967. And keep in mind, I'm not saying that the French economy was inefficient or technologically backward. Far from it. What I'm saying is that constant state supervision created an industry that was rigid and lacking in dynamism, without the necessary experience to be able to compete adequately. The outcome, well, when the protections were removed and foreign competition arrived, 1. French producers were no match for the rest of the world, and 2. They were not ready to pick up the pace either. And if we add the oil crisis, we have the perfect storm. Its economy, one of the richest on the planet, has gradually stagnated since the onset of the crisis, going from rates above 5% to rates of around 1 to 2% annual economic growth. The unemployment rate soared from 3% in the 1970s to more than 10% in the 1980s, a figure that the Gallic country has never achieved to return back to the 70s level since then. So with the crisis putting more and more people out of work and inflation liquefying workers' wages, social unrest swept through France. So let me ask you, what do you think the French did next? Indeed, what they do best: protest. Demonstrations swept across the country, and the president at the time, Valéry Giscard, decided to act as quickly as possible to calm the streets. And what did he do? Yes, you guessed it. He ramped up public spending, the same public spending that doubled the weight of the state in just 1 year. Congratulations, Valéry, you made France a tax hell today. Joking aside, Valéry's objective, beyond calming the demonstrators, was to protect national industry from the inclemency of the 1970s. Now, as we always say, it's one thing to write checks with lots of zeros, but it's another thing to make those checks pay off. And what can I tell you? Valéry Giscard doubled spending in desperation. He doubled it in just 1 year. Can it really be said that this was the result of a thoughtful, calm, and technically rigorous plan? Well, hardly likely. And there is no better proof of this than to see how since that time the industry has barely raised its head, while the only thing that has remained standing is uncontrollable debt and taxes. If you thought that France's problems were limited to public spending, you're wrong. Next to that and the Eiffel Tower, there is nothing more French than enjoying some of the strictest labor protections on the planet. For starters, the social security contributions paid by both employers and employees in 2022 were the highest in Europe, almost 15% of GDP in contributions alone. This gigantic collection is what makes the social security system in France one of the most comprehensive, providing healthcare, unemployment benefits, pensions, and family allowances to all workers. But now,
So again, it's all the money going to the government. They can't spend it. Socialism again doesn't work. Inflation again doesn't work. On and on and on, but somehow they don't seem to get it. Thank you, George Soros. So this is the problem. Why isn't everybody on the gold standard? It was the best time ever, 1879 to 1914, the biggest prosperity ever. No. We got to have central banks and inflation and government pensions, because you don't know how to save. You don't know how to save your money. We'll do it for you. And causing all this unemployment and inflation. And we can't. We're going to raise the age on Social Security to it was 59, now it's 61, which is a default. They're basically defaulting. Then they give you such a small amount of what you earned. It's just ridiculous. But that's in all the countries. And then it's social welfare. So you don't vote them out because you like the not working and getting money. It's the stupidest thing in the world. But that's what happened to France. Large government spending, large regulations. It's harder to create there. It's, basically they're being undercut. So England and France are both, they don't make anything, right? France, champagne and perfume, I guess. In England, I don't know what, it's just banking. They fuck up the gold derivatives. That's all they do. It's some little bit financial, and France is a little bit of, now it's very dangerous. A lot of mobs, a lot of protests. So let's leave France. So we've been to the UK and we've seen them getting blown up. And here's France getting blown up. Now, how is that going to affect us? We're fucked because they're, if your customers are gone and they don't have any money, who are you going to sell to? China's gone. Russia, we've sanctioned. China, we've sanctioned. Who's going to buy our products? Oh, wait, we don't make products anymore, do we? So it's a big problem. Now, you're a millionaire in the UK and your taxes just went up. What are you going to do? And you ain't going to stay, right?
Almost 100,000 UK citizens have watched this video on why you should leave the UK with the new government, which in my opinion is a World Economic Forum puppet, and it's going to destroy society, increase taxes. Overall, millionaires and wealthy people in the UK are going to continue to leave the country. Already 10,000 millionaires have left this year, and many thousands more are considering to leave. But where to go? That's the main question. Which country around the world should I go to with my wealth where they're not going to tax it, where they're not going to control it, where I can potentially live a much better life? Now, I'm going to compile all the countries around the world that our UK clients who are worth over $1 million, we're talking about $2 to $3 million in some cases, all the way to people that are worth 50 to over $100 million. We're talking families that have built a lot of wealth, or crypto investors that have invested in Bitcoin over the last couple of years, or altcoins, and they've made significant sums of money. Where are they going? The first couple of countries that pop up are close to the UK. The top one is not close to the UK, but I have to mention it. That's the UAE. Dubai is an easy shot, specifically if you're an investor. You can go to Dubai. We can set you up in less than 30 days. You can get your residency. You can leave the tax residency net of the UK, essentially live in Dubai, tax-free on your investments, and only pay 9% corporate tax. Very straightforward. We have many UK clients that have gone to the UAE and Dubai, but pretty much everybody knows about this option. Other options closer to the UK are Spain. A lot of people think Spain is great for a vacation. It's not great for living. There's a lot of migrants. But if you go to Andalusia, that is the southern region where Malaga, Marbella, Estepona, all of these towns and cities are, there's many UK citizens that are living in this region tax-free because there is the Beckham Law. The Beckham Law allows you to spend 5 to 6 years in Spain as long as you have a residency permit that could either be a golden visa or a non-lucrative visa. I prefer the golden visa, but they are removing the property option right now, so you can't buy property. To get the golden visa, you can still do it through a company. You can still do it through putting money in the bank, or just the non-lucrative visa. You apply at the embassy in the UK, the Embassy of Spain in the UK, and then you can get your non-lucrative visa. Once you start living in Spain, you can apply for the Beckham Law and then get that 5 to 6 year tax exemption. You have better weather. You have safer places because Malaga, for example, the main city in Andalusia, is much safer than London or many cities in the UK. You have great nature, you have great people, you have a lot of Westerners who have escaped their Western countries of Sweden, UK, the US, and they're moving down to the south of Spain. So definitely recommend it, and also extremely friendly people. Obviously, next to Spain, we have Portugal. Portugal is not one of my favorite countries in the world. I think it's severely underdeveloped. I think there's a lot of immigration coming into Portugal that I don't particularly like, and it's overhyped. To be honest, the tax situation is overhyped. The living conditions are overhyped, where you can get a much higher quality of life right next to Portugal in Spain, a much bigger country, much better things to do, much better people. But if you like Portugal, Portugal is definitely an option. You have D7 visa, you have the D8 visa, you have the golden visa by investing in a fund. So there's many options of relocating to Portugal. And obviously there is a large UK population. If you're on the wealthier side, if you have multiple millions of dollars and you want to go to a country that is the top level financially, then obviously you have Switzerland. The problem with Switzerland is that in order to get a residency permit to live in Switzerland, you need to pay a lot in taxes. You're going to be spending at least €250,000 per year, €250,000 francs per year in order just to get into Switzerland, unless you have a job or you have a spouse from Switzerland. But if you're a wealthy person, you want to get into Switzerland, prepare to pay multiple hundreds of thousands of francs per year, depending on the canton. And also Switzerland is very strict. It's a very strict society. If you want to get Swiss citizenship, it's really hard. They ask your neighbors if you've been a good citizen. It's a very surveilled society, and it's a society that works similar to Germany. Everybody follows the rules. Although Germany is collapsing, it's now nothing compared to what Germany was 10 years ago. Switzerland is much stricter than Spain. So if you want a strict place, but you have very safe banks, you have banks that are literally one building in Switzerland that have no jurisdiction over other countries. You can keep your money safe in those banks, and they keep deposits of their clients. So for example, if you deposit 10 million francs into that account, you can cash it out from crypto. So you can actually cash out your crypto to a bank in Switzerland. They keep it separate from their bank funds. If they go bankrupt, they keep your client funds separate, so your funds are not lost in the event of a bankruptcy or bank failure. These are banks that are highly regulated, more than pretty much any other country around the world. You're going to keep your money safe. You're going to earn a good yield. You can cash out your crypto. You're going to live in an extremely beautiful place that I'm heading over in the next couple of days. Overall, I absolutely love Switzerland. I don't live in Switzerland because I don't want to pay hundreds of thousands of euros or francs per year in taxes just to live in Switzerland. And I find Switzerland for living full time a little bit boring. Now, for those of you that are a bit more adventurous, specifically single men, if you're a single wealthy man, the best section of Europe or close to the UK is going to be Eastern Europe. So you have Poland, which is experiencing some changes in its society, is experiencing a lot of tension with Ukraine. Overall, it's right there on the border, a lot of US troops, but Poland still is one of the best places, in my opinion, to get the highest value for your money. And Poland, you can also get a lump sum tax, although I haven't seen any people that actually have gone through the lump sum $50,000 per year tax. There are low taxes. You're not going to be paying 30%, 40%. You're more going to be paying 15%, 19% in most cases. And if you like traditional values and you like people that value family, marriage, the divorce rate in Poland is significantly lower than other countries in Europe. Overall, you're going to like Poland. My favorites are these two regions, the Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Estonia being my top favorite. I think Estonia is one of the most underrated countries in the world. It is safe. The nature is amazing. The women are incredibly beautiful. The meat is amazing. The food that you're going to get in Estonia is amazing. It's extremely well developed because Estonia is a country that is pushing for more development, more things being done online. People actually voted in the last election all online. You can incorporate a company in a couple of days, and you also have pretty low taxes. The same thing with Poland. All these countries tend to have low taxes because they want to attract people. They don't have this socialist mindset of taxing people 50%, 60%, taking all your money away just because you're the evil rich. They don't have this mindset. In Estonia, for example, you can have a company. That company is not taxed until you distribute the profits, and then those profits are taxed at 20%. Capital gains is also taxed at 20%. So it's a moderate tax rate. It's okay for living in a pretty developed place, and it's also amazing for dating. And then other options you have Hungary. Again, all those same qualities that I mentioned in Poland and Estonia: safe, traditional, great for dating. Overall, you're getting a lot better value for your money. You're getting a lot better lifestyle than you are in the UK. You're getting a lot less taxes. You can get a multi-year permit in Hungary. Romania and Bulgaria also attract some people. Not my particular favorites. I don't like Romania. I don't like Bulgaria, but for some UK citizens, it works. And also non-EU Eastern Europe. So we're talking about Serbia, Montenegro, Albania. My personal favorite is Serbia. I promote Serbia a lot just because there's a lot of opportunities, for example, for getting residency and citizenship in Serbia. If you're a high value person, if you have a good profile, if you're willing to invest, In Serbia, there's ways of getting very low taxes, 9 to 10% in some cases, corporate tax, the same that you would get in Dubai or in Hungary, for example. Great places to buy real estate, and overall, it's developing pretty well. Montenegro has amazing nature, and all of this region of the Balkans definitely underrated, as well as a lot of British citizens choosing Greece. I am here in Athens, Greece. I'm doing a little tour of Greece, and Greece is popular because of the golden visa. A lot of Chinese people, a lot of Turkish people, a lot of people from all over the world, and also a lot of British citizens are choosing Greece. The lawyer that I'm working with here for the golden visa has told me that many UK citizens have bought property in Greece. If you want to get a second passport, just as a hedge against your British passport, then Turkey could be a good option. You buy a property, $400,000, you get citizenship, and then we're going over to the other region of the world that is very popular for UK citizens, and that is Southeast Asia. Thailand has attracted UK citizens for many decades. I don't really need to tell you why to go to Thailand. You know it. The weather, for some people, the dating, the prices, the differences in lifestyle, because you have the massive city of Bangkok, which I don't particularly like, and you have Phuket, Koh Samui, which are more my vibe, more tropical, more beautiful, more humid, hot weather on the beach all the time. Obviously, a lot of UK citizens choose Thailand. You got Malaysia as well. Not my particular favorite, but you can do the MM2H program. They've increased the requirements. They made it harder to qualify, but for a lot of people, it makes a lot of sense. They love that they can get a lot for their money because it is cheaper than many other countries. And obviously, for those extremely wealthy people, you have Singapore. Singapore is not a place where you should move if you have $1 to $2 million or $500,000. It's a place you should move if you have 20 or more million dollars. They want extremely high value people. They're going to make it very hard for you to immigrate to Singapore. They're going to make it hard for you to get your situation handled in Singapore if you don't have at least $10 million. But it works very well for a lot of people. If you want the top tier development, if you want the top tier country, in my personal opinion, it's a bit small. It's a little bit more strict than what I like in a country for full-time living, but it could work. Vietnam and Philippines are two honorable mentions. Pretty straightforward to move to these countries, specifically Philippines, if you are retired. Vietnam, pretty much anybody can get a long-term visa and enjoy a much cheaper, much more relaxed lifestyle. Now, when it comes to Africa, I don't really recommend anybody move to Africa. A lot of people say, oh, buy property in Egypt, get the Egyptian citizenship. I think that's a terrible idea. Egypt is a chaotic country. You're probably not going to like it. If you're a UK citizen, you're used to Europe, you're used to the development in Europe, you're not just going to move to Egypt. That's ridiculous. So I would recommend in Africa, Mauritius. Mauritius is developed, it's safe, great culture, great nature, great weather. Overall, an amazing place. I've been there and I absolutely love it. You can get citizenship and they are very tight with the Commonwealth. So they have a great relationship with the UK and they will welcome you with open arms. You can get permanent residency by buying real estate in the country and you probably will not regret it. Just know that it's far away. It's far-flung. You're in a relatively small island, so it might get boring. And the next big region of the world, we got the American continent, which obviously is divided. Latin America, we got the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, Barbados is a favorite of UK citizens who actually set up a lot of people in Barbados recently. You can get an extremely low corporate tax rate as well as a 0% capital gains tax rate. You can easily move from the UK. They will again welcome you with open arms. I would say Barbados and Mauritius are very similar lifestyles, similar nature. Mauritius is almost 5 times bigger than Barbados, so Barbados is really small. A lot of people get bored there, but for a corporate setup, it works very well. 9% corporate tax. You can get tax residency in as little as 2 weeks. So some of our clients, they go from the UK to Barbados, they get their tax residency, they show it to the HMRC, and then after they complete the HMRC test, they can become a tax non-resident in the UK and then start paying taxes legally in Barbados at a much lower rate. In some cases, legally 0% tax. And if you want to get a second citizenship, again, to hedge against the UK, then obviously you have the Caribbean countries that sell their citizenship like St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica. These are all Commonwealth countries, and they will again welcome you with open arms. Now, for Latin America, the countries that I've seen UK citizens move to, we got Mexico. I met a lot of British people in Mexico, in Cancun, in Playa del Carmen. They're buying properties. They're getting Mexican residency, Mexican citizenship. That could work very well. There are a lot of safe places in Mexico. It's not all cartel run, so don't follow the propaganda. We got Costa Rica. We got Panama. Also very interesting for a lot of UK citizens. Some UK citizens move to Dubai and then they move to Panama and they decide, I'm just going to move to Panama and leave Dubai. For some reason, they like that lifestyle a lot better. And obviously you have Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, all these Southern American nations, Colombia, very popular for dating. But I would advise caution. These are dangerous places. I mean, even Buenos Aires at this point is quite dangerous. I have a friend who lived there multiple months, and he said that it's even more dangerous than some parts of Mexico at this point. So I advise caution. I'm not going to tell you go to Argentina like some other people are saying, but these are great places where you can feel way, way more freedom than you will ever feel in Europe or the UK. These are governments that are not going to harass you. They're not going to ask for your tax money. They're not going to try to find out everything about you, anything like that. So this is the free continent of the world. And last thing, if you're a multimillionaire and you want to get a second passport and you want to get the best possible passport that you have access to, you have Malta. For a donation of around €1 million, you're not investing this, you're donating it, and you're getting the citizenship in return in about 1.5 years or 2 years. Malta is happy to give you their passport, and then you would be a citizen again of the European Union, and then you can move wherever you want. You don't need a golden visa. You can move to Estonia, you can move to Spain, you can do whatever you want with that Maltese passport. And then one more structure that you should consider, although you're not moving to this country, but having a trust in the Cook Islands of New Zealand could be very helpful for asset protection. You can have a trust. That trust then has a company, and then that company gets banking in Switzerland, for example. You can cash out millions of crypto tax-free as long as you're not tax resident in the UK. So a great way to do this would be move from the UK to Dubai or to Spain with a tax exemption or to Mexico or to anywhere that has lower taxes. Set up a trust. That trust then cashes out your millions of crypto into the bank in Switzerland that is owned by that Cook Islands Trust. And that is essentially the perfect asset protection structure while also paying zero taxes. If you want to see where the world's wealthiest people, specifically the wealthiest people in the UK, are moving to, there's actually an official list on where these UK millionaires are moving to. The video is right here, where more than 10,000...
It's all right, we just heard you. I don't like the crypto crap, but besides that, so there you go. So me, I'm looking at Serbia and Spain, probably vacation in Spain. Greece is very good. I wouldn't go to Romania. It's kind of communist. Well, it's free market, but it's could be dangerous. But Hungary, I heard, is very nice, and a lot of those. Stay out of the big countries: Germany, France, England. Of course, you don't want to go there. But go vacation there first. So one thing I learned is go vacation, see if you like it, and then go. Switzerland, I agree with you. UBS is not safe either. Swiss franc is also going to zero. All the money is going to zero. I mean, that's the point of what I'm telling you. All the paper is going to zero. That's why gold's going to go to the moon, because you're in Switzerland and the franc goes to zero. What are you buying? You only have one option: gold and silver. You're not buying crypto. Not with Larry Fink on board. You're buying gold and silver because nobody knows you have it. It's a very good thing to own, where the cryptos, you're being tracked, and why would it go up? It's priced in dollars. It's going to go to zero also. So that's why you buy gold and silver, and then nobody knows you got anything. So that's really the best thing to do. So that's 10 good places. So I've been to Spain and Portugal. I like Spain better. Portugal, they all speak Portuguese, and I don't know. We went to Lisbon. We didn't go to a lot of other places exploring, which we probably should. But the problem is, if I've never been there, I get a hotel and I spend the week there. But to go around, you gotta travel around in these countries to different cities. Like you said, the cities in Spain. I went to Barcelona with Luke, but you don't want to. But if you want to go to these other ones, he said, you probably got to take a train or something to go, and then you don't want to. So you want to probably spend a few days there, but you've already got the hotel in Barcelona. That's the problem. So you've got to be flexible and just get a hotel for a few days and then travel if that's what you want. But you probably need a good month for that, not a week vacation. We will see. But I think Jenna will go to Spain. Daria wants she doesn't want me to come to Russia. She's afraid of the war, which I'm not. I'm not that afraid of the war. I'm feeling if I go to Russia, here's my passport. Here's where I'm staying, and I really don't feel threatened by it. So I don't know, but she's like, well, and I'm like, well, what are we waiting for the war to end? I mean, that might be years. I'm not waiting years to meet you. So anyway, we had a long talk about it yesterday. So anyway, so that's where you want a vacation: Spain, Greece. I'm not crazy about Mexico and the cartels. There might be good places, but I'm not going there. I wouldn't go to Brazil, or they're all kind of corrupt down there. Argentina's all German, so I wouldn't want to go there. Yeah, I mean, I think Serbia and countries like that are probably nice. Hungary, it depends what you want. Dubai, but that's kind of pricey, right? So depends how much we make on our goal, then we determine where we go. And we'll see, but we don't want to stay here. That's for sure. And as he said, a lot of these places have the freedom that you want, and they don't have big taxes. So got to be careful. We're collapsing here pretty fast. And when the dollar goes out, it's going to be chaos. And you got idiots like Kamala Harris or Biden running it. That's it's like a football team with Matt Patricia running it, and you win 2 games. I mean, that's because you got bad coaching. So we will see. But that's where we're at. So baseball one more time today. Just about started. Seattle under 8 against the Tigers. The Mets, Baltimore over 8.5. Philly, Texas under 8. Milwaukee under 7.5. It's funny with the Tigers. If I go under 8, they'll score a lot of runs. If I go over, they won't score any runs. If I take Detroit, Seattle wins. If I take Seattle, Detroit wins. So yesterday I didn't play it. Did I play it? No, I didn't play it. And Detroit wins in the bottom, ties it in the bottom of the 9th and wins 3-2. So it was an under, which is what I thought. When I bet it against Seattle's ace and Detroit's ace, I got 15-2 or something. So I don't really, they're so inconsistent. They're so badly managed. It's really crazy. But yeah, I mean, you've got to understand all the banks are going to zero because they're not backed by anything. The key is these dollars are not backed by anything, and they will all go to zero every time because they'll keep printing. Why? Because of elections. They want to print. Oh, we'll give you Social Security. We'll give you welfare. Oh, let's do price controls. Let's do, let's make the minimum wage, $100 an hour. Well, it doesn't work, and it doesn't do anything. All it does, the employer doesn't. He lays off people because he can't afford. His budget is, I'll pay $15 an hour for you to flip hamburgers at McDonald's, and they come in with $25 minimum wage. Well, he's got to lay off the people, because he'll lose money at $25 an hour. You've got to let the market do it. Keep the government out. Laissez-faire economics. Let it be. Keep the government out. That's what you want. Just let the market run it. This is what I can afford to pay you. I can afford to pay you $10 an hour. You want to work $10 an hour. The government can't come in and say 20. Okay, well, I can't afford 20. I need workers, so I guess I'm either going under the table or I'm just going to go out of business because I can't make money paying people to flip hamburgers $20 an hour. And that's really the problem. So government is doing it because they want the power, so they want you to vote for them. So I'm going to give you money. Now, will you vote for me? I mean, that's basically what it is, and it's an insanity thing. It doesn't work. And it ends up fucking up the money because you just keep printing it. And they don't want to be on gold because they can't just keep printing it. We're on the gold standard. I can't make minimum wage $20 an hour or whatever. The dollar will be corrupted and it'll be worthless. And there you go. So not really understanding any of that, why they can never figure it out, or they don't care. They'll just, while I'm in power, I'll steal all the money, and that's all they do. All the politicians take the lobbyist money and they tell you what you want to hear, and it never works and never will work, because it's got to be the market that dictates everything. The free market. We want to buy ribs. Here's a place that sells them. He wants to sell them for $40 a slab. It ain't going to sell. The market says $25. And that's what you got to learn, is what will the market bear? That's how you go into business. What will the market bear? Okay, I can sell ribs for $30. What's my cost? And if my cost is $20, I get into business selling ribs or Canadian Club or, Bellagio coffee mugs or phones, whatever it is. I have to know what my cost is, and I have to know what the market will buy it for. Now, it's easy to see what the market will sell. So if you're making phones, you go to Walmart's and see what they're selling them for. Oh, okay, the cheap ones are 100, a little bit, 200 for some, 300 for some. Okay, what is my cost to make the phone? And if it's more than $100 to make the cheap one, I can't sell it because I'm going to lose money. I'm in it to make money. How do I make money? What's it selling at? What's my cost? My cost got to be 20% under what it's selling for. Keep it in mind, the competition will lower my price also, because the more competition, how do you compete? You lower prices, right, to get customers. So that's really what the problem is. And when the government takes over, you lose all that, because then they start forcing your cost up with inflation, with price controls, with minimum wage, and it fucks the businesses up. Well, wait a minute, this is what I can do, but now you're making me, I can only sell for so much, and I got to pay my employees more. Well, I can't do that. I got to be flexible to raise my prices when I need to, and I got to be flexible to what I can pay my employees. And then as you raise healthcare, now that takes a bigger chunk, so I'm less profitable with healthcare. And so I can't, now, I need to sell this at $75 a bottle. It used to be 50, right? And I used to get 60. Now it cost me 75. What can I sell it for 90? And if you're putting a price control of 40 and my costs are 60, I got to get out of business, because I can't make it for less than 40 to sell it at 40. And now you're killing my minimum wage people. You're making that more expensive, and then you're inflating my dollars, so I don't even know what my costs are anymore. And can the market buy it? No, because inflation fucks everybody, because I have less money, because things cost more. So I have the same amount of money, but it's worth less. And then when I go to buy things, those are more expensive. Well, I have the same amount of dollars. I still get, $3,000 a month, but my costs have gone up. So I still go buy my tuna fish and my Coca-Cola, and it's costing me more. And then my utilities are more and my rent's more. So it leaves me less money. So I'm not going to buy tennis rackets. I mean, that's the problem. And certainly when you have cost increase, you're killing it there too. And if you price control it, then you really kill the company. So you think you're doing all these nice things for the people, and you're screwing everybody over doing it. You get a fair price for my labor, right? And you agreed to it. Okay, McDonald's, I saw $17 an hour. Is that good? Times it by 40 hours, times it by 4 weeks. This is how much you make a month. Can you pay your bills? Yes. Okay. And and that's how it's got to be. But can McDonald's survive at $17 for somebody to flip hamburgers and fries? That's the question. So that's why the government screws everything up. That's why it's laissez-faire economics. Leave it alone. Let the markets control it. Let the free markets, let me and you control the prices. control what we buy, how much of it we buy, and then the companies will make money and everybody flourishes. And when you start fucking around with that is when the problems arise. Anyway, let's look at our gold and see what's happened. So we talked about France is fucked because the government is taking the money and want to price fix things and want to higher pensions and the price controls and the minimum wage and all that shit. England's on their way out because all they do is financial stuff. There is no building, high taxes. So both of those are out. Germany's going out. China's going out. China has gold that'll save them. I don't know what they're waiting for with their gold. And let's see what our gold's out. So gold is the savior of Rome, right? That's our savior because you can't print it. Just like a limited Mantle card or a Rolex. That's the difference. Gold's 24.55 still nice, healthy. It's gone up a little bit of down, but we haven't gotten our 12 o'clock hit. It's now 1:30, so we should be fine for the day. We could maybe get a 24.65, but we've survived the 24.36. You always get a little bit of, oh my God, this is, it's going to go down, but there's too much demand cranking it up. So goody. Silver 28.35 is holding up nicely. Again, we'll see 30, but we really won't see the move until they really start buying the silver, until it gets free market, until the people making the solar panels and electric vehicles and the Tomahawk missiles, until they order a lot of silver. There is no silver in COMEX. So the people aren't taking delivery. So as Mark McGuire says, they're not taking delivery in the COMEX. They're taking delivery at the mines. But COMEX price doesn't show the mine price. And the mines, for some reason, are too stupid to raise the price to $50 an ounce. Why are they taking 28? I believe that JP Morgan is paying them off, giving them, here's $2 million to sell it at this price. There's something funny is going on. These people can't be this stupid, although I'd be surprised maybe they are. Highest in recorded history. What's that, Pat? Wonder why the silver price is up so much, 2.94%, and gold is only up. Oh, God, don't even go there, Luke. It's all derivatives, so it's not a matter of that. Gold's in its own little world, derivative up, derivative down, on its way to $3,000. Silver's on its way to 50, but it's much more controlled with the derivative. So maybe it's demand from Saudi Arabia and India wanting to buy silver for their solar panels and electric cars, batteries. I don't know. You'll never know, but it's all derivative price. So you can't try to rhyme and reason it and tie it out. You can't go, oh, well, they should both be up 3%. No, there's different demands, so you can't do that. You're just happy gold's at 24.55 on its way up and not going too far low. And then silver's having a nice day. The derivatives there, they got down to 27. So now they do call options, which they want the price to go up. And they're just letting it ride up. So they make more money on the derivative. So there's no correlation to it. Highest in recorded, China's silver import is at record. Yeah, China's been stockpiling a lot of silver, and they got a lot of gold. China, for as bad as their country is and the economy, has all this gold and silver and a lot of minerals and stuff. And maybe they're waiting for BRICS to use it. I don't know. But a lot of people are moving out. A lot of rich people are moving out of China. A lot of foreigners, rich Americans and Japanese are moving out. The companies are moving out. There's a big problem in China, thanks to Evergrande. But again, you've got 60,000 tons of gold. What the fuck are you, what are you doing? Same thing with Russia. They get about 25,000 tons of gold. At least that doesn't include what Putin's got in his in his houses and his train and his swimming pool. So I'm sure he's got 10 tons hidden away somewhere. He's got a train that's golden. It's just Putin. You got to love Putin. I'll tell you, he's not all that responsible for the war. It's mostly the U.S., but he's pretty calm. He's not nuking anybody. I'd rather have him as a leader. At least I know I got a leader, right? He's strong. He's taking care of his country. And he seems smart. So he's not as ruthless as they paint the picture. And then we have Biden. We got the biggest idiot in the world running our country. So how safe do you feel here? I'd feel safer in Russia is my point. So yeah, you got to be careful. But well, China's imports silver. So does Saudi Arabia, and so does India. Dubai, I'm sure. How much silver does the U.S. have? Oh yeah, we don't have any. I don't know what's going on here. We don't have any gold. How do we not have any gold? I mean, how stupid are we? And yet some states are trying to have the gold, saying, okay, we'll accept gold here. No. I'm not going to give you a gold worth $24.55 when it's worth 20,000. So no, I'm not going to play that game with you. Or they'll take silver. Well, it sounds nice, but at $30, we'll take it, of course. But don't fall for that shit. No. Use your paper right now until we got gold and silver breaking high, and then we pull out our guns. We don't pull out our guns now. I can pay for the ribs for $30 with an ounce of silver, and there's no fucking way. When it hits about 1,000, then I might pull my silver out, but not at this cheap price. And that's the thing people are having a difficulty with, is a lot of these silver shows, and they don't get it. They don't understand paper and derivatives and COMEX. They go, oh, silver can't go past $50 an ounce. Why not? That's the COMEX price. That's the paper derivative price, not the physical price. Physical price is at least 10 times higher. But they don't get it. Oh, it'll never go over 50. Yeah, because you're an idiot and you don't understand. So that's why I tell you, don't listen to half these guys. They do not understand what's going on. So that's our gold price. 2 hours. I get amazed myself when I talk for 2 hours because it just comes out. I do show the videos, so I kind of explain them, but you can see what's happening. You get your own view, and you can watch the videos I show on YouTube, and then you get a little bit more like, where do I want to live? You can go back to that video and see what country's good for you. But Europe's very nice if you've never been there. I don't know, there's some on the Caribbean, Spain, been to, very nice. They're just different. They're European. It's a little bit different feel. You're very safe there, and you're very free there. I mean, nobody bothers you. You're in the hotel. Well, of course, you're in a hotel. This would be different if you owned a house or a condo or something. But you just want peace and quiet. I just want peace and quiet, basically. And you'll live off your gold and be nice. I didn't like the guy with the crypto. I didn't get that. What else? I was going to talk college football, but I think I'll do that later or tomorrow. JJ McCarthy hurt his knee. That's a shame. He wasn't going to be good anyway, just like Caleb. I'm watching these videos on Caleb. Oh, he was so good. He threw a 2-yard pass to the running back who ran 40, and he looked pretty, he looked like he was very nervous. And then he found the running back in front of him, and then made one good pass, which is no big deal. And then he ran for one. So what's the big deal about it? Oh, he looks great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the economy is in good shape too. Yes. So don't get sold on Caleb just so fast. Let's watch the first few games, see him get sacked a lot and a lot of interceptions, and then we'll make our decision. But he's not going to be good. Daniels, yes. Penix, yes. Bo Nix, yes. Bo Nix threw for 200 yards. The first touchdown was an Oregon play. Hit the running back in the corner of the end zone. It's a beautiful play. So we'll keep an eye on that. We went through the college line yesterday. We'll go through the preseason line. I think there's a game today. I want to say Philadelphia at New England. So the 24th, which is next Saturday, a week from Saturday, will be the 2 college games, which we will talk about in class, but I won't give picks here. All right. Today we got New England 335 over Philadelphia. In a normal game, I'd bet everything I owned on Philadelphia, but this is preseason. New England, new coach, doesn't know what he's doing. Had 5 quarterbacks, I think. Zappy was the best. And then a lot of guys played 2 or 3 or whatever. Drake May's terrible. Whoever else they got. No defense. This is a terrible team. No running, no receiving, no coaching. Stay away. I don't know. I would think Philly +9 would be a good one. I don't know, over, under. Philly's pissed at how bad they did last year, so look for their regulars to play a little bit more. But I don't see New England beating anybody. The only team they'll beat is Carolina. Let's see. Baltimore won 35.5 against Atlanta. Now, these are Saturday games. I don't know. It depends how long Penix plays. The Bears 36.5 to Cincy. If we had Burrow all game, I would be all over Cincinnati. Again, that's the problem. Houston 39.5 over the Giants. KC 739 over Detroit. If Goff doesn't play, I don't know. Hooker's in concussion protocol. We'll see tomorrow if he's playing. How long does Mahomes play? And who their backups are. So again, it's very difficult because of the quarterback play. Cleveland 4.5, 36.5 to Minnesota. Without McCarthy, I like Cleveland a lot here. Miami 5 and 38 against Washington. This is regular season game. I'm betting over, way over. 38 won't even be there. It'd be 48. But again, I don't know if Tua's playing, and I did like Jalen Daniels, but you get him for 2 series, it's hard to bet him. Indy 2.5, 36.5 against Arizona. Indy with the whole slew of quarterbacks also. I don't get it. You give a guy 2 series, what are you learning against the 4th-string defense? That was the thing they said about McCarthy. Oh, he looked good. Yeah, but he was playing the 5th-string defense in the 3rd quarter. So Pitt 4, 35.5 to Buffalo. We'll see. The Jets -1, 31.5 to Carolina. Normally this would be all Jets. Seattle 1, 35.5 to Tennessee. San Diego 1, 33.5 to LA. I like LA here with Stenson Benson. He might have thrown a few interceptions, but that was learning. He won't do that again, but he did throw that touchdown at the end. He will do that a lot. So I like the Rams. San Diego's got nothing. Harbaugh's already fucked that team up. Jacksonville 2.5, 37 to Tampa. Both teams kind of suck. Oakland 6.5, 39.5 to Dallas. I don't know that Oakland's 7 points better than anybody, especially Minshew will play. Brock Bauer will make his little, but that's first quarter. You get the rest of the game. Dallas, Trey Lance, he sucks. The Niners, we got New Orleans -1 and 38.5 over the Niners. I don't think Brock Purdy's playing. New Orleans, I do like New Orleans here because you have Hayner and Radler as the quarterbacks. They're going to score on the Niners. And the Niners counter it with, is Brock Purdy even playing? No. So who are their backups? Denver 7-39 to Green Bay. Yeah, Penix or Bo Nix look good. Love will play a little, and then the rest of it. So we'll write down our quarterbacks after this weekend. See who we got. And that's it. That takes us then to September 5th. And KC 46.5 to Baltimore. So that is your pros today. And, again, it's very difficult to bet this. Who are you betting on? Okay, I know when I'm betting on Mahomes and Burrow and the Niners and I got Josh Allen and I got Russell Wilson and the boys, but I don't know who I'm betting on, and I don't want to bet third string. I think the Lions, if Hooker doesn't play, I think that's why the line's so high. If he doesn't play, they're not going to play Goff. That means they play this loser third stringer why are they wasting time with him? But the Lions are really shooting themselves in the foot with these contracts. So they've signed their right tackle to a big contract. No other team does that. All you want is the left tackle to be elite. You don't want the right tackle. You don't give a fuck about him. He doesn't protect the quarterback. The left tackle protects the quarterback's blind side. You only have so much money. You don't give your right tackle a lot of money. It's a big mistake because your line is meaningless. They can easily put a 7-man blitz on you, and guess what? Your line ain't going to do anything because you only have 5, and they're basically standing around. So they're going to come at you with a blitz. They're going to get 2 guys in at your quarterback. It doesn't matter how good your line is. That's a huge mistake. Signing that they should let their left tackle go, move the right tackle to left tackle if you think he's a good left tackle, which is yet to be seen. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's any good. Not really. I mean, but I don't really like offensive linemen. I think it's a waste of money. I'm not a Goff fan. He's a choke. The receivers, okay, St. Thomas, and then the running backs. Montgomery's okay. He's injured a lot. The other guy from Alabama, he's no Georgia running back. Speed went out. You don't get fast guys because the defense is faster. You got to get guys that understand football. Their defense is still their Achilles. The Lions, they're in big trouble there. They haven't addressed anything. Bringing up rookie cornerbacks is not the answer because you still have a stupid defensive coordinator who all the receivers gain 200 yards on, and you haven't fixed that problem. Adding another defensive back from Alabama where none of the defensive backs from Alabama are any good, and some other guy with your early picks is not the answer. You could have Ronnie Lott and Primetime Sanders back there. It's not going to help you because you play a soft zone and let everybody run in between, and they go all day. Anyway, so be careful preseason. Yeah, I gave you maybe New Orleans would be a good one. Maybe Philly tonight. Again, I'm not betting. I don't bet preseason, though maybe I would bet that teaser. Philly in 9 and New Orleans in 7. Makes sense. That's about it. I don't know. Minnesota's fucked with Sam Darnold, and Chicago's fucked with Caleb. I mean, we'll see it. I just love how the media tries to, look how good Caleb is. No, he's not. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see when they get to the regular season and he faces number one defenses and they start pressuring him like Notre Dame did. And then he'll be like, oh my God. Then everybody will shut up. Oh, well, it's just one game. Oh, it's just two games. So it's only been 4 games. It's his first year, and after 3 years of hearing how he's so good and he sucks, then you'll finally get the point. Like Fields. Everybody thought Fields was so good. And I'm just shaking my head going, what are you watching? Fields sucked and he sucks now and he keeps fumbling from snap and he can't read a defense. He can't read his zone and he wants to run a lot. So why Pittsburgh picked him up. See, aren't you watching how bad he is on the Bears and you're picking him up because why would you waste your time with him? Why didn't you draft Hartman? Right? The one you should draft, Hartman, you don't draft. He's very good. So watch Washington. That might be a team to bet Washington because you'll have Daniels a little and then you'll have Hartman play a half and he'll get you the win. So keep an eye on Washington. New Orleans, teams with 2 good backups that are better than the starter you want to bet on. Anyway, I think that's about it. So be careful. Inflation is not going away because you printed too much money and you still printed the money. The money's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how much your economy grows. It doesn't matter because your economy is growing because of the stocks that you're printing and the money you're printing, putting it in the stock market. And you think, well, my economy is growing. Not with inflated dollars. It's not. You're just being a magician. You're printing a bunch of money and putting it in the stock market. Look how our stock market's doing. So it doesn't really work. Anyway, I think I'm going to get a bite to eat and then swim. And I'll see about later today what's going on. I could come back. I did want to do college football, but I felt like we got so into brics and Comex and gold that I let that go. So I'll let the class dictate where we go. And that's fine. So I appreciate Luke and Pat and everybody. Didn't see Greg or John or Bobby today. They owe fines. Have a nice time at the ball game tomorrow, Luke. Go Pirates. We'll bet Skeins for you. And if he starts fucking around, you better go out there and make a visit to the mound. Tell him that the professor's got money on you. You better pitch. Or at worst, I'll have an under if it's another good pitcher. Anyway, that's it. So enjoy your day. Buy your gold and silver now while you still can, because you're not going to be able to soon. As you see all these countries go bankrupt, the rich in these countries will get to gold because they have no choice. They can't keep holding the euro or the British pound. It's worthless, right? So as it goes, and the Swiss are right behind it, they can't. They can't. Their money is worthless. So you're a real rich guy in England or Switzerland, but you're holding Swiss francs or British pounds. The currencies are going to zero. So you've got to get out of the currency and into gold. That's really the point of it. So that's why we just wait for the gold to go up, because it has to. Because you can't stay in the dollar. There's no other dollar to go to. Not like they can buy U.S. dollars like we're not inflated ourselves. Okay, everybody. Any other questions, comments? Time for lunch. I'm hungry. All right. Lunch in the pool. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Sign up for the classes, economics, or the football classes where we'll go through the picks. Sort of like I did, but only I'll actually pick the game. Right. So I'll talk about KC and Baltimore the first week. I'll give you the spread. Then I'll get into the picks and the bets, and I won't do it here. So just FYI. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I will see you later, and let's keep that gold price high. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.